ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the desk. Still here and ready to go. Last time around, Eager completely took LG to the cleaners. And now they've got new opposition. It's going to be ALG this time around. A lot of what happened in game number one was focused, I think, on the best. But this time around, looking at ALG, there's a lot of power in the jungle specifically.
Yeah. Weekend's one of those players where he's always been able to really synergize as a team, and he's a big setup and initiation factor for his team. So I think it's pretty critical watching these playstyles come out from Weekend and Pernicus, because, I mean, there's already a rivalry coming in between these two, and Weekend especially, you know, he's got big pride, so it'll be interesting to see him. When
it comes down to it, Kurt over here, Weekend, he's got a big attitude and a even bigger gameplay. He's here, he's ready to go, and he's definitely a focal point for ALG.
I'm the person who just wants to win. I don't give a shit how it happens. I don't care if I have to feed. I don't care if I have to do all the talking.
He's basically the person that you love if he's on your team and you hate if he's not. I guess that's the best way to put it.
Weekend, he's never been mechanically the greatest jungler. You know, I watch his stream and I chuckle a little bit sometimes with his play, his Thor play. He's a great leader, and I think that's what he brings to the team. He brings concise shot calling, confidence, and leadership.
I think he's a really great player, and versing him in the land is going to be a lot of fun.
Weak feed, weak tilts, loses speed, yells at everybody else. Very good shot caller. Pretty much says as much as he can all the time.
Yeah, I think online, I mean, in person, I'm a lot nicer. I'm not going to go out of my way to be mean, but I am going to be the person who tells you what I'm thinking.
Weekend, similar to DJ, has a really weird play style, but it works with his team, and he's an amazing shot caller.
He makes pretty much all the shot calls. You know, he's very, very vocal. But I would say that if I wasn't on his team or I did know him, I'd probably be like, yeah, I don't want to be around Weekend, or don't want to play with Weekend.
If I kill you, you're gonna hear me.
I think the biggest thing you can take away from that is that Weekend is just going to be Weekend. He pulls no punches, whether it's online or not. And that's the same thing when it comes down to Mr. DJ that you see right there. They've got a similar KDA. I think Weekend winds up with a little bit more kills. DJ tends to be a little bit more of the support style jungler.
Both of them have a lot of utility the way they style in their picks and bans. They like to go for this compositions where they support their supporting cast. They go for the Odins. They go for the Bastets we saw to DJ before. Guardians can come out of Weekend in this matchup, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Guardians coming out of DJ as well.
I mean, DJ really, I think the biggest moment for DJ was the repeat Guan jungles that we saw last season and that sort of thing. And that's kind of what at least I sort of embody or see DJ embody, is that support style, like you said. And Weekend does the same thing. You saw him, I think the coolest thing in that video, besides the music, was the first point that he made. He said, look, I don't care if I got to feed. I don't care if I got to be the only one talking. I don't care what's going on. I'm going to try and win. So watching that happen is exactly what he wants to do. And DJ comes from a very similar spot.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting, too, with the way that their personalities are always tending to clash a little bit as well. But if you've noticed, Pern and Weekend are both the same person in that they really don't care how other people view them. They really don't care if the whole world thinks that they're god-awful at the jungle or anything like that. As long as they're able to support their team with these utility-based junglers, it's more than okay with them. They just want to set up their team and get the W. At the end of the day, that's all that really matters to them, is getting that win.
What's kind of funny is, you know, like we said, these guys, you said, you know, they kind of clash a little bit. DJ and Weekend just don't like each other. And when it comes down to it, that will impact the game. I think we're going to see, you know, some extra spice come out from these guys as they try to get those invades and try to defend their teammates on the towers. And, you know, watching DJ and Weekend over the years, they certainly are capable of pulling out that extra stuff.
We saw a lot of trash talking in the last set. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some more this game going around. And there's a lot of pride between these two junglers, like we mentioned before. A lot of bad blood, but now they're face-to-face at LAN. They really have to get these wins. Eagers with the momentum, though, coming off of Luminosity, beating them 2-0 now. Allegiance, though, they have been watching, so they have that advantage going for them.
And go from the bad boys to the good boys. Brett right there, Mr. MLC Stealth. You can see he looks terrifying right now. One of the more dominant players in the mid lane in the past. I think that he has had his troubles, but coming back onto Team Allegiance has really been a big resurgence for him.
Yeah, MLC, like Pern, is another one of those players where I feel like he thinks that he really has something to prove, and he really wants to prove that the main reason for his success in the mid lane isn't because of having played with Anderson before in the jungle or having Weekend now to support him. I think MLC just wants to show as himself, hey, I am this deadly mid laner. I can take you out, and I can do this on my own.
Team Allegiance starts things off with what I deem to be the correct bans. Ra is going to get taken off of the board. Ratatasker, sure, I'll take it or I'll leave it, but the Ra absolutely has to happen. Team Eager, take away Guan and Athena, I think, thinking along the same lines of the supportive junglers that can come out. A lot of flex out of those characters. So because of the lack of the Jing ban, Team Allegiance is going to lock that into for likely Mr. Venenu.
That's the advantage of being able to watch Eager's last set. They realized that Ra was indeed the problem. Luminosity was not able to make the adaptations. They thought that they could have possibly separated a little bit better against the Ra snipes, but we saw the perfect setup from Aror, playing that Orlong Shed for the best, just going completely off.
I love this. I love the Janus selection here from Team Eager. Not only is this a great choice for the best, it's one of his better characters, but it's also one of MLC Stealth's better characters. So taking that away at the same time as grabbing that's one of my favorite moves in P's and B's. So we're going to see that out of Team Eager. Allegiance respond with a spicy pick of their own. Not even talking about the Serqet for Weekend, which is his logo, but you got Kukulkan over there for MLC Stealth.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a comfort pick for MLC Stealth coming onto this Kukulkan. And I think one of the biggest things to also note is that the Serqet, her taunt is actually really good for the Kukulkan. It's a really good setup factor for him. It's going to be incredibly easy for MLC to get these ones off, and getting that slow onto them. They have a really good chase down comp already, in my opinion, with the Jing with the Serqet. So it's definitely going to be dangerous for Team Eager to let these fights pop off. They need to be looking more so for a counter engage onto ALG, because I think if they try to initially get that engage on them, that Serqet Kukulkan is going to be a very, very troublesome factor for them to get in between.
Team Eager is going to ban the big baby. Totally, why don't you give us some insight into why the Vamana ban?
Right now, it seems that Eager doesn't really want to deal with this Vamana. Divios is very comfortable playing a wide variety of gods. We saw him play Sobek the last set, both games, surprisingly enough, with Aror playing the Arlong Shen. So I'm probably going to be leaning more towards a Guardian yet again. So Vamana is really good about transitioning safely in the early game, can even out-rotate you. He has the highest base movement speed in the game, as well as his dash.
When it comes down to it, absolutely have to give Team Allegiance props right here. I think every single ban has been, even the Xing Chen, the first 3 bans are just sort of, hey, we watched the last match. The Xing Chen was, hey, we watched the last split. I think all 4 of these bans against Team Eager from Allegiance are not only just meta sound and correct choices, but specifically they've done their homework and it's coming out at LAN.
Yeah, and I think the big thing to also note is that Eager are definitely gunning down Copebby here. They do not want him to get on a god that he's comfortable with, and out of all the solo laners here this weekend, I do think people are going to be choosing to put a lot of focus onto Cope, because, it is his first LAN, so he's probably got a little bit of the nerves coming into this, and whether or not he doesn't have the nerves, taking him away from a comfort pick like Erlang, Vamana, Guan even, I mean, that's going to be pretty crucial in seeing just how deep Copebby's god pool really is.
It's going to be very important for Allegiance to ward carefully, because we saw Luminosity, they get invaded on in the second game. They had the ward, but they didn't put it on the speed buff, so as a result, Eager, they went the opposite way of Luminosity's ward, found the invade, and as a result, Divios playing the Sobek with the Wrath had the complete control over the early Amaterasu.
Amaterasu will get the selection for Cope. And not only is he a rookie, so Landner's coming to play, although looking at the guy, he's something like 8 feet tall and, 300 pounds of muscle. But I think it's more about just he's the greenest rookie that we have here, in all honesty. He's been playing for a very short amount of time in juxtaposition to the rest of the crew, and a lot of the players are going to look to take advantage over that. The Nox solo is being hovered over here. And you know what? Like, jokes aside, Divios was the guy that brought out the Janus solo once upon a time in a different world, but just like those odd character picks, it's going to be the Ares, likely to see the Terra over there in the solo lane, unless Divios wants to get really spicy, which, last week watching some of those compositions, I'm not sure if I'm ready to call where these characters are going just yet, but Eager again have a very unique setup.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, I would mostly expect that Terra to go into the hands of Divios, but at the same time, it is Eager. I mean, they like to play Bastet aggressively. You never know what to really expect from these guys, and I think that's probably one of the most interesting factors about them.
I'm not going to make the call. In fact, I'm going to bring it to the 2 guys that'll bring us the game to show us where these characters are going. Graham and Kevin, why don't you bring us to the game?
Tom, I really do expect, though, it is going to be the Terra solo lane. And what I see from the side of Eager here is mobility, mobility, mobility.
So this was actually a bait in the picks and bans by Eager. Anatoly mentioned it, targeting out a lot of Cope's God pull in Erlungshin and Vamana. And we talked to Divios actually just recently in the interviews, and he had a lot of respect for Cope. Only though, on his priority gods, right? The gods that he's very dominant with, like that Erlungshin and the Amaterasu and the Vamana. Now, they wanted to run the Terra solo, so they banned out his God pull in the second phase outside of the Amaterasu because they knew he would pick it. This is a matchup that Divios wants in this lane. It's going to allow him to not have as much pressure in the lane. It's also going to be unlikely that Cope's going to be able to get an edge to start invading as well.
Well, Divios, on a second Guardian for today, after only playing Sobek so far, is once again going to start off with Wrath this game.
I really like this, and teams are going to have to be a lot more aware right now. I mean, Allegiance had been watching Eager versus LG. This is the exact same thing, a Guardian with Wrath along with the Bastet. They need to be aware for the potential of an invade, and I love this already. Cope spotting them out.
Well, Cope's going to meet Divios, and neither of them can actually kill each other, although Weekend was waiting in case Divios carried on. It wasn't going to happen, but the ward's placed down, one towards the blue buff of Eager, and one right, I believe, in the speed buff pit of Allegiance.
And Divios is still hanging around here. Eager, or Allegiance knows that this is at least a potential invade. I almost thought Divios was going to stop his back there.
I thought he was going to attempt to do it for a second.
That would have been actually devastating for Cope Boy because he only had health potions in line. He wouldn't have been able to back and get back to lane with those multi-potions.
This is going to be another invade coming out here potentially. By the positioning here, it tells me that.
I think it's mid-Harpies.
Divios is still in the ward, and at the same time, what do Allegiance do? They just have to back away from that speed buff.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how Allegiance adapt to this. Divios is lined up for the speed buff, though, and it seems like Eager have decided to play it safe. A lot of that due to they had just shown this strategy a little bit before, and clearly Allegiance were ready for it. Cope spotted it out, saw the Wrath, so Eager like, we can win other ways, let's just play it safe in this laning phase.
And that blue buff, so that blue ward there that you saw will definitely give away that Eager are just doing their own camps right now, have a small advantage thanks to the Wrath, and obviously it will give a little bit more pressure to Terra in the early stages, which is going to have pressure for a lot of this game.
Yes, and that's something scary to think about. The mid lane matchup, Stealth going back to the Kukulkan. We saw this so many times in the online stages, and Eager clearly just kind of let it go through. Terra has a great matchup against the Kukulkan, who really has no way to get out of that crushing earth.
Well, look at this. Allegiance watched the games against Luminosity, right? They recognized how important Ra was, and that left Janus available for the best.
Yes.
Not only that, Allegiance are like, that's fine, we expected that, and we're going to get our priority pick now in the Kukulkan.
Yeah, I mean, if Allegiance fought into Eager's Raw and like an Erlungshin, the Kukulkan is just going to get absolutely destroyed. We saw what happened to Xenotronics with a dash in both relics. It was still the same thing.
Cope taking a lot of free poke in this lane already. Pressured out under the tier 1 tower now. Minion wave still here, however, so Divios in a pretty good position at level 3 already as Cope just hits
I talked about it. This picks and bans, like it was a complete bait. Divios, I think, had full intention when that Terra was first picked on the side of Eager to match up against the Amaterasu. They made adjustments in the banning phase. And even if he had picked up the Vamana in the first half, I still think it would have been the same thing where Divios just puts that into the support role and he goes a different Guardian that's going to have a little bit better of a time.
So lane pressure through these teams as well here at Dynasty. The solo lane obviously is going to be Terra, a little bit of advantage over Cope early on with the wave clear. But then what's going to happen over in the mid and duo thing?
At least in the duo, it should go to Allegiance. Obviously, it gets scary. It's really awkward when you look at these lanes because an Ares that's ahead is so good because you always have to be aware of the chains and the potential for the follow-up damage, but if you can't gain that lane control, Ares doesn't really have a good way to fight back, especially with the Rom, who's kind of got to sit in the minions to hit the full wave.
Well, if you're watching on Twitch and you have been voting on the Revlo bot, I hope you voted for Allegiance for First Blood because those boys are very well known at the moment with getting the First Blood.
79% of Allegiance's games, they get First Blood, and a lot of that attributed to Weekend and Stealth. I think Weekend has 5 something around there. It's actually really well spread out. Even Incon has 2 First Bloods. They like to fight in their core. We know Weekend loves to be mobile around the map, set up ganks, and try and look for kills.
And on top of that, we're just going to go back to farming here with Venenu and Incon in lane. Death toll for both the Hunters. However, Zapman once again going for the faster. Ickfell as a blink from Aror goes off. Going to force the purification early on of Venenu.
That's absolutely brutal for Venenu because you know there's going to be another follow-up gank in the next couple minutes. Now without purification online, it's going to be a pretty easy lineup.
Well, he's only going to have the airstrike. Weekend looking for the best forced to purify as well. So pressure in the mid lane and pressure in the duo.
This is probably going to be a game of baiting relics. We have the this burst ultimate from MLC Stealth. He's going to want to make sure purifications are down, sanctuaries are down, and he has some form of setup, whether it be Incon or weaken with those taunts. We saw that clearly there. And a good job from Stealth recognizing that the purification was going to allow Best to get through the wall, so he holds his ultimate.
Well, second round of speed buffs are actually starting now, and nobody going to invade on either team here. Obviously, Serqet, Bastet, both pretty good at the invasions, but they're not going to be able to find it for the time being. 3 minutes 30 in the game right now as they go for the back harpies as well. And so far, so good. I'm not surprised to see, however, that we don't see any aggression coming out from either team right now. Both teams looking to farm up, and it's going to be down to the two junglers here to really make an impact in this game.
These are impact junglers. TheBest mentioned it perfectly. Weaken and djpernicus don't really care about their stat lines. I'd have to say Weaken probably cares about it a little bit more, but really they're there for one number, and that's the win. That's all they want. They're going to do whatever it takes. Weaken likes to set up ganks. He likes to get his team ahead. And same with djpernicus. If they need him to split push, he's going to split push on this Bastet. If they need him to set up kills onto MLC Stealth in the mid, he will do that. If he needs to help Copebby not get farmed in the solo, he will start rotating over to the right-hand side of the map.
Going to be difficult, really, for Divios to pick up a solo kill onto Cope at this stage.
Incredibly unlikely.
They will be able to poke him out of lane a little bit more, though, for the time being, the way this is going. But kill, different story. The one thing that I mentioned as we were going into this game is the mobility of Eager. With Terra's Blessing able to influence the fight without even joining it, this could be a big impact for Eager. With a Janus, with a Bastet, and even with Blink on Aror and extra mobility, he can really close the gap.
And look at this, Divios doing a great job of bullying Cope under his tower, securing these fire elementals as well, just getting a little bit of a lead. Already has about half a level.
They want the Guardian in the solo lane.
This could be
Three
a gold
members
theory,
over
though.
here looking for the gank onto Divios. Terra's Blessing is still available, actually, but a burst is just too good. He'll fall down for free. First blood the way of Weaken, and once again, Allegiance keep that slash line of winning games.
Great job from Allegiance there, but I think a slight misplay from Eager as well. Obviously, nothing Divios can do. His wards had fallen off. He didn't have any in his inventory, but that was a free Gold Fury for Eager. It was pretty dang close.
You've got Kukulkan in the mid lane, though, that you're up against. Do you really want to go against that?
Well, the issue was that Kukulkan was actually coming out of base, so he wouldn't have been able to get to the Gold Fury in time for Allegiance by the time Allegiance had bursted it down. But it's really hard to make those calls, especially if you're unaware of where Stealth is at that time. So Eager just want to play it safe. They can take a death in the soul lane. It's not that big of a deal to them.
It does relieve a bit of pressure onto Cope as well, as what we were talking about being bullied earlier on here. Venenu, the other rookie on this team at LAN for the first time laning up against Zapman.
It's veteran against rookie here. We have a ton of those actually in these group stages, and Venenu has really impressed me this split. We saw him not a ton, right? He doesn't have a lot of games under his belt, but the North American hunter scene, I think, is the most, it's the fullest. It's just like, it's so dominant. Everyone in that group is so good. And the fact that Venenu has been able to hold his own and even get some 1v1 kills shows a lot of promise for this guy. And we know that some of these rookies come out into lands and they just perform tenfold to what we saw on online stages.
And on top of that, Allegiance did have the benefit of watching the Luminosity rookies go against Eager earlier on. And you saw the pop-offs Eager did against them, constantly aggroing the players who are new. They were like, come on, Scary, come fight us. Why are you running away? Thanks, Mask, for the buff. You're the man. Well, Venenu and Cope now, they recognize this. They know that the boys of Eager will probably come after them.
And I have to say, they've got some loudmouths on their side as well. Divios here, going to be forced to pop his ult.
Well, I don't think he's going to get out of this one. The ultimate coming through from Stealth there, and still Divios under pressure, not healing, but the double dash will save him.
Aror.
Now Aror looking to turn this around.
He's going to pull in two in the follow-up as well. Weaken trying to counter. He somehow gets out, but the tornado shredding through. Best take a portal out. Aror in trouble. djpernicus finds a kill, but it's a one-for-one trade.
The rotation from Venenu has paid dividends for them.
Turnaround.
He can't find the pick onto Janus, but he's looking at DJ and takes some extra poke there. Meanwhile, Zapman, disciplined Zapman, going to farm up the mid lane, put some pressure there instead.
Divios still hanging around here. Venenu and Incon really wanted that blue buff, but they felt a little bit uncomfortable with DJ around the corner as well.
Zap hasn't seen this rotation coming in.
Oh, yeah, into the wall.
He's okay, though, because the root won't connect, and the wall didn't stop him as much as it has in red.
It clipped him for a minute, but with ROM rolls, you kind of glide along the wall if you're at the right angle, and Zapman happened to be at the right angle. I almost
knew that.
That would have been the death. That was zapulated, clearly.
Yeah, he knew exactly what was going on there. Left-hand side, though, the red buff is available.
Wrath on Incon, by the way.
Is the Gold Fury, and Allegiance going to start this one up immediately. Look at the damage, look at the burst already down, and as you said, that Wrath was available as well.
This is a twofold punch from Allegiance. If they use Stealth's ultimate in a team fight and they don't have it up for a Gold Fury, they just use the Wrath on Incon. They have two options to secure it, and while djpernicus has cats which are incredibly effective, their Wrath is in the solo lane, which you don't see translate to these mid-game Gold Furies, or more so early game at 8 minutes. They're not really involved at them. It's not worth rotating. The risk is a little bit too high, and because of that, this is going to allow Allegiance a lot of opportunities for these Gold Furies.
We didn't mention it, but First Blood did go the way of Weaken as well on that Serqet, so that does give him a bit more of a spike, and because of that, he's finished the Hydras now, which is going to increase his damage a little bit more.
And djpernicus, on the other hand, going for the Jotuns. He wants the cooldown. I expect to see DJ once again set up for this kind of split push. This is even a better composition to do it in for Eager than it was last game, because you have Divios who can pop that ultimate on DJ from across the map. You have TheBest who can use portals to get DJ out if he gets into a little bit of a precarious situation. I think this is going to be a very similar play style for Eager that we saw against them and LG in game 1, where they played a lot more passively, kind of let LG do their thing, and then just baited the team in.
Well, you saw Aror on the right-hand side of the map, and he's pretty much where he camps most of the game. He's one of the only supports that will consistently be over in the solo lane side of things, but Cope, well aware of that, one of the highest warding solo laners in North America, has got plenty down to cover and keep an eye on that rotation.
And I think he's been the most warding simply because a lot of teams recognized him as a weakness. He was a new rookie coming in. While he would have some really good games, he was pretty limited in the God pool we saw from him, and there was a lot of games where he was just falling flat, and because of that, he had to compensate by warding heavily. Now Cope's got 14 games in the SPL under his belt. We're starting to see him pick it up, and now he's going to be against Divios. This is a mismatch that could be big in this group, because we saw how Divios handled Scary D. Allegiance really can't have Cope be that far behind like Scary was for LG.
And I mentioned the amount of mobility Eager have here, but their actual raw engage isn't really that high on this team. They're going to be relying on a Blink Ares ultimate or Terra to really set them up here to find some potential picks.
I think this composition is a lot weaker, and shoutouts to ALG for making that adjustment after watching what they brought against LG in the first opening game. They have TheBest on a god that has an ult that hits really hard, but it's not as clearly lined up as a raw snipe, and it needs to be a little bit later in the game. Raw snipe comes online much sooner, incredibly effective, and so they're going to have trouble at these objectives. They don't really have the secure Aurora as well on an Ares. If you get behind on an Ares, we know how devastating it can be, and already Weaken setting up for another
Weaken
gank.
is really dictating the pace of this game, looking towards Zapman now, who recognizes it, the roll down, quick, and the ultimate as well, and Weaken just going to dip out, happy with the result.
They got an ultimate for only a single ability on Weaken. This is a win for him. Soaks up a little bit of experience, but you could see Eager recognizing Weaken on the left-hand side, now putting pressure onto these mid-harpies.
Yeah, you actually got the Terra's Blessing out of Divios there as well, so it was 2 ultimates for that little skirmish. Benefit is, though, Zapman can head back to base soon and get his second relic online, so he's still got the Purification up and the Sanctuary in case Weaken comes around again for another rotation.
But he doesn't want to spin that yet. He just came back in the lane, and so it's going to be a little bit of time difference for that. Yeah. I expect him to back within a minute 30 right before the Gold Fury respawns, because Allegiance, once again, they have that 1-2 punch. They've got the Wrath on Incon. They have MLC Cell's ultimate. They're going to shred through Gold Furies with the Tornado from the Kukulkan as well. Eager have to be incredibly aware that they don't get whittled down. That's exactly what they did in Game 2 against LG, and that's what ALG is trying to do for them.
Well, Steph in the mid lane has this Book of Tough online, went for the Shoes of Focus as well, which isn't the worst thing in the world on a Kukulkan.
Yeah, I mean, it's been buffed recently too, a little bit more power on it. It gives a lot of mana, incredibly useful with his passive Kukulkans. For those who don't know, the more mana he has, he actually gets bonus power from it.
It's not a lot of bonus power, but it is something that influences the build.
I mean, when you get Book of Thoth as well, which he's gone, that gives mana, and so it all stacks up, and you can already see 235 power for stealth with a Thoth that's not really stacked up, and boots like that. That's a big difference.
Oh, hold that thought. They're ganking Zapman again, who had his ultimate up. Now the rotation from Eager is here.
That snipe.
Pernicus leaving it in space. Snipe will hit Incon, but Incon very tanky. Cat's dropped and going to be pressured onto Incon some more. Incon going to weather the storm for the most part and walk away. He's pretty good against Bastet for self-peel. Meanwhile, Weaken went to the back but didn't find what he was looking for.
It's going to be a disengage there. Really good job from both teams. We saw Eager try and pick up Incon there after he had dashed, but they were a little bit hesitant. They knew Stealth had his ultimate. Weaken's ult was online as well. And then just Allegiance placed themselves themselves perfectly. They don't allow Eager to push in and get that, allow them to pick up the Incon.
On top of that, the mind games between the solo laners there. Neither wanted to use the teleport first, but Pernicus is going to be the first one over here. Cope in a bit of trouble, forced to ultimate defensively. So small net win for Eager.
Oh, but look at this. Aurora, does he have Blink? He does have
Zapman
Blink.
soloed Venenu in the left-hand side. We didn't catch it on camera, but I'll tell you what we will catch. Copebby going to fall down, and it's Aror who gets the kill.
Movement across the map, absolutely perfect for Eager. The solo kill not even needed in that situation. They recognized that Allegiance had all backed after there was 8 members on the left-hand side. Immediately, Weekend heads to the right lane, sets up that kill on Cope.
Auror's face is just like, let's go, boys. The scariest thing is, I don't know how Venenu died there. Had ultimate,
No idea.
had both relics still available, not using the engagement.
Misplay?
Didn't use anything.
I hope we can get a replay later in that game, but you just...
Man.
I mean, that's the thing. You got to worry about all these rookies. You have to make sure that they are not nervous heading into these games, whatever it takes, because I think we've already seen it both in Group A and Scary D facing off against Eager. We could tell that he had some nerves as well.
Well, they know Auror's ultimate is down here, and they're around the Gold Fury at the moment, Allegiance, but the ward coverage is in Eager's favor. However, they're going to pull the Gold Fury for a second and just see if they get a response, which isn't really happening.
It's a little bit dangerous to commit. I think they were just trying to bait it out, see if anyone was there. Weekend once again setting up for a gank here, but Best and Aurora had immediately went to that right-hand side.
Best immediately just dips out with that portal, and now with wave pressure in the mid lane, Allegiance going to head to the Gold Fury. Let's listen in with the Steel Series listening to Allegiance's comms.
Do we have ready, Aurora? I'm here. Are you on that? I'm on that. I have nothing up. Looking at Aurora. Aurora, Terra down, Aurora. That's gonna be here in a second. That's gonna be there. Back up.
I'm pretty well. I'm pretty focused.
They're gonna go. There comes the Terra to your right. Rama. Terra's to your left. Yeah, no, Rama. Magic 2 off him. Terra's underneath. That's towards the wall. That's it, right here. Bastet. I have ult. Bastet, just leave. I have nothing up for a while. Really low.
Bastet healing. A lot of damage. Janus beast, by the way. I'm healing. I'm healing. I'm on way. Coming.
They're in a fight. Sure. Hold that there. They're really low. Go back. There's one.
Big fight for Eager there. They get the Gold Fury, and you could hear their comms over the top of Allegiance with just how excited they were about that.
Incon off the mark on the Wrath. You could see it was used, but they couldn't time it with the Kukulkan at the same time. Eager managed to steal away the Gold Fury. Now 1,500 in the lead after being down 1,500 at the start of the game. I loved what Incon was doing there. You saw, you heard him in the comms there, calling out who is out of position, who I'm looking at. The issue is we saw a lot of ultimates from Allegiance wasted. Copes was wasted. Incon even wasted his at the beginning, knocking one player up, but Stealth wasn't in a position to follow up off of that.
Talking about Stealth, though, I think his decision there was pretty wise. He managed to hit the team and the Gold Fury at the same time. Very unfortunate they don't get the Gold Fury there, but very fortunate if you're an Eager fan.
And now 5-2, Eager have fought back, now in the lead, and Weekend in the jungle right now. So we actually see, I think, a lot of trouble between both Weekend and djpernicus when it comes to farming.
On the left-hand side here from Aror, looking once again for Cope, forcing out the ultimate early. They went to steal the blue buff, and it looks like it was successful on that right-hand side as well. So Eager find a small win yet again.
Best is around the corner too, but not much in the right-hand jungle for Eager to really force. So unless they're setting up a kill, I expect them to back out here. And look at that sentry warding in between the blue and the speed. Eager have complete control on vision on the right-hand side of the map.
Well, Zapman's headed back to base then. Venenu was trying to stop the back coming out from him. So he's going to get a bit of pressure in this lane for the time being. Obviously, Rama, not the same rotational ability with that passive that the Jing brings.
And Venenu got soloed earlier, but you could see because of the passive, he's been able to fight back into it. He's even in gold, even in experience right now, and with Zapman back, he's able to force this tower. All of ALG grouped up except for Cope, and his teleport's not available.
That's true. Well, Cope's going to get a bit of free farm. He did lose the tier 1 tower on the right-hand side there. I love the idea from Allegiance, though, to try and give some pressure for Venenu to get the tower and cut off the options in the jungle of the rotations.
It also relieves pressure from Cope on the right-hand side, who hasn't had the best game. 0-3-2 right now. He's been shut down ever since djpernicus had that first gank on him.
You mentioned at the start, though, Eager put him on Amaterasu. Amaterasu. They went, listen, this is the only one of your gods we're going to leave up. You're going to play it, and we're going to play against it.
And now we could play Terra in the solo lane, which had been a flex option. Like, if you pick the Vamana early game, we could still put Aurora on this guy. But if we do get that Amaterasu matchup, Divios is very confident in it. We've seen him really take control in the solo lane. I think only once when we've taken a peek over at that right-hand side has Divios ever been low enough to back, and that was like level 7. He's level 16 now.
And Cope right now, like every single ultimate we've seen out of the Amaterasu has been defensive. We've not seen any offensive capabilities because of the pressure that they've put on him consistently.
But to be honest, Cope has done a really good job. I mean, the difference in gold right now, only about 300 for being 0-3-2, meaning Divios hasn't really been able to farm up super effectively, but there is that level difference. You can see Cope's experience bar just starting to pile up towards 17 when Divios has been 17, and I think it's close to 18.
Now, a little bit of worry for Allegiance here in terms of relics. We don't see a shell on this team whatsoever, and when you look at the opposition where TheBest is sat on a Soul Reaver, and you've also got the Zapman snipes coming out here as well, Janus and Rama will do a lot of damage in these fights for free.
You know what's surprising is that we haven't really, even in the set against LG, we haven't seen a lot of team fighting relics. The double teleport coming out from Eager, they have a Wrath as well, and like their only true team fighting relic is one shell.
Well, the double teleport, the left-hand side, djpernicus trying to set up for something there, but Venenu gotta make sure he tells him.
There you go. That's what you gotta do.
Know.
That's what you gotta do. And I think Venenu has, but despite being soloed, which I'm still wondering how that happened, probably just misplayed, maybe clicked the wrong button.
No clue. I have no clue because I know Zapman's ult was down for that engagement too, and Venenu didn't use anything. A little bit of land nerves there as we tune into the solo lane again. Cope, now level 16, should be able to just stand and bang with Divios and not really worry about him alone. He's just got to worry about rotations.
Just charging up his mirror there, swinging at
Divios.
Divios.
Allegiance to the first one here. Divios won't worry because he's got Aurora coming and Janus too, and djpernicus round the back.
And Weekend in a lot of trouble. He's going to dash away, recognizing Eager have the best opportunity, but Aurora with the blink finds the chain and the searing flesh as well. Weekend barely makes it out, but heads back down.
As well. Aurora came up big with that. The jungler is down. Now Aurora surrounded on him. He'll fall to Cope. Meanwhile, airstrike from Venenu wants to go a little bit more ham. djpernicus gets hit by the tornado.
Back in.
Turnaround Allegiance have a chance.
Zap almost found that last shot. Would have been a kill for sure, but now he's in trouble staying around a little bit too long. He's going to be cursed, popping his relics, trying to stay alive, but Best actually not in position. Really surprising there. Best actually pushed into the fight instead of just putting up a portal for Zap to take. A little bit of a misplay. I think Zap would have been able to make it out had Best been more supportive in that fight.
And not only that, they can now pressure the mid lane. Only TheBest here to defend it against 3 with Venenu coming in as well. They will push him all the way back so he can't even get to this wave. Tier 1 tower in mid lane for Allegiance. We got a ball game here, boys and girls.
That was such a good fight for Allegiance. Sure, Weekend dies, but Eager put so much into killing him. They invested way too many ults, and that actually allowed Allegiance to rotate over. Eager actually split up a little bit too much, so they were able to chase them down. Aurora diving incredibly deep for the kill, and then after that, I think we saw it was not Best who was picked up, but djpernicus, and then Zapman. He was in the sky, and Allegiance were all grouped up when he came down.
Well, Godfrey went the way of Allegiance there. However, DJ answers back in the mid lane, uncontested, taking down the Tier 1 tower there. The goal difference is even between these two teams at 20 minutes in this game.
A little bit of experience different, but that's mostly in the jungle and the solo lane. Cope has done a good job of recovering. Weekend's a little bit behind, but
DJ's a little bit out of position here. The blink from Weekend to cut off the option, but he's not going to find what he was looking for.
Good ult there from Divios as well. He pops it, giving a little bit of extra movement speed, and because of that, Weekend's used to the normal movement speed of Bastet in that situation to line up the taunt, but because of the bonus there, isn't able to connect.
Last second coming through, and you can see the crit coming online as well for Weekend now, who sat at 1-1-1 in this game. Like we said, a little bit behind that of djpernicus, but when he gets that crit online, the damage will go through the roof.
It's going to be really scary to deal with, and Weekend has been incredibly behind this match. We're 21.5 minutes in. He's only level 15. He's been rotating across the map a ton, but he hasn't been able to get anything out of these fights. He's gotten 1 kill and 1 assist with the 5 on board for ALG.
Now, but djpernicus is over here too. Weekend doesn't care about that. Fully commit onto Zap. The crit came through for a second, but Venenu's going to watch his positioning too. The Wrath was stunning too there as well. DJ takes out Weekend, and also Jing Bay is dead.
Unbelievable. MLC Stealth rotating in, but 5 players grouped up. Best sidesteps it.
And now Aror going to go into with Zapman as well. Incon on peel duty, going to put Aror in an awkward position. The damage from Zapman was good, but not enough to kill Stealth.
Best is on point with the snipes again. The opening kill onto Weekend. I'm pretty sure Best had actually connected an ult, and now it's going to be a tier 1 tower on the left. There's only 3 players left in position to defend this tier 2, and they're not going to be able to do so. Cope and Incon just have to watch their tower fall, and Eager starting to take a significant lead.
But that comes back to the Weekend play there on the left-hand side. Weekend goes aggressive on Zapman. There was a rotation from Pernicus who was waiting, and Eager collapsed quicker. The mobility of this team is too good. With a Janus, with the Terra's Blessing, another option for them, and a blink from Aror, it allowed them to collapse and turn that fight on its head.
The brutal part is that Weekend invested his entire kit into Divios, who's level 19, very tanky, even has a Lotus Crown, giving him bonus protections when he sits inside his heal, and Divios is just laughing off the damage. He didn't even need to, he didn't have ult for it, and still just not enough shred on the side of Allegiance to fight through it. I almost think that he just needs to focus on farming. He should be trying to slow this pace down.
They're looking to get djpernicus, and Weekend is going to be forced out away from the tower. The Terra's Blessing and the cats were used there by Eager. They'll hold the tier 1 tower and keep their jungler alive.
Eager did such a good job against LG in their game 1, where they focused on farming up when they got behind. Instead, Weekend has been trying to make a lot of plays, and it's hurt his farm because not only has he been traded in 2 of these scenarios, but he gets poked out, so he's unable to pick up the camps across the jungle.
You actually saw there the wave clear coming out from Terra, and the way he positioned it. Divios, very experienced in finding out the small things in the game overall with how it's played. Putting the crush sideways there means that you can't actually hit the wave either if you're the enemy. At the same time as you can dash through and clear the wave in full.
And now, Eager in a really good position this game. Gold Fury spawning at about 1:30. And ALG, they just need to stop trying to set up these kills, because the Terra's Blessing has been countering every single gank that Weekend has been looking for. And sure, they get the ultimate from Divios, but he's got so much CDR, it doesn't matter.
The Monolith blocked the kiss onto Divios, and now space and time fight. The crush comes through as well. Divios getting support from his team. Good knock up from Venenu to keep them busy. Zapping the sky with the snipes. Will pick off Weekend. Get some damage to the backline too. No escape. Pull in, boys. But Stealth is still fine. Zapman goes in though, and Zapman is here to play. A double kill for the Hunter. He's looking for a 3rd. Dashes in, doing his best Jermaine impression.
And Divios steals the kill away from Zap. Best is pushing forward as well. Incon going to be in trouble. Chained up the jump from DJ as well. Cope's going to be the last remaining alive, and there's nothing he can do against the force of Eager. Once again, Weekend. ALG invests so much into a Terra who laughs it off. Best ults the entire Eager team up. By then, ALG had invested too many ults, and they were on the complete retreat. The snipes from Zapman able to pick off Weekend on the backside. Too much movement and mobility for Eager. ALG can't get away, and now they've got a fire giant.
I'm looking all the way back to the Monolith. That Monolith that was placed there by Divios wasn't intentional, I don't think. I don't think he knew Weekend was coming over the wall, but the fact it blocked the Cobra's kiss, it blocks projectiles, and that blocked the whole situation that Allegiance had an opportunity.
Even if it doesn't, like, that's not going to be a kill onto Divios. I mean, you taunt him for a little bit of damage. Divios still going to be able to get the ult off because he has just so much CDR, so much tankiness, and now it's going to be a lot of trouble for Allegiance. This game is likely going to be decided by Stealth. He's got double stacking online, working on his Rod of Tahuti, and he needs to have an important ult. We haven't seen a single one connect, if I'm not mistaken, outside of that Gold Fury.
You hit the Gold Fury one, which we didn't even get the Gold Fury of that, and he didn't find a kill either. But both these mid laners, they're both known for the big plays at the right moment, and they're playing big old gods as well. The Janus and the Kukulkan can both bring the same thing, delete a single person in a single shot.
You can't count Stealth out this game. You can see also djpernicus, TheBest, and Zapman do not have any magical protection online. If MLC Stealth can get his Rod of Tahuti up before Eager are in a positive position to win the game or have all the Phoenixes down, like, that ultimate will kill any one of those members. Just one shot, they're gonna die.
And the Hunters are really online as well, but mainly Zapman here, pretty much full build right now, can sell the Igval for another option if he so chooses. Meanwhile, he's laying up position. Venenu here, working towards what looks like a Deathbringer next, still a little bit behind, a bit more of an expensive build, however, is the reason he is so.
And Zapman as well, just kind of looping around the corner, trying to stay hidden right now. Eager are up about 8,000, about 9,000 gold right now, and they know it too. They all just went back, spent their gold. They're gonna be coming in with power spike items. They have Fire Giant. It's just going to be a siege fest. And MLC Stealth needs perfect positioning in this fight.
Eager came in as the number 3 seed in this group as well. Remember that Allegiance at second, Luminosity at first, and right now Eager are banging on the door of Allegiance saying, hello,
of Allegiance.
We are here.
They're banging on the entire door of Group B. Such a dominating performance against Luminosity, and now this game as well. They got a little bit behind, but they've been able to fight back so effectively. And this is just still just a different dynamic team comp than they even brought against LG. You know they got more in their back pocket.
Well, the Lotus Crown will proc for Divios there to sustain his team if they so choose. Zapman gonna poke out Incon a little bit. You saw those crits ringing through. As we follow him with a Roar, he'll be looking for a Blink initiation if a perfect time arises.
He just wants to bait as many relics as possible. Positioning right now, and Eager doing a good job of zoning. I think Shell actually popped from Allegiance, and they're gonna force this.
Let's listen to the Steel Series listening with Eager right now.
I got Phoenix.
Go through.
Yeah.
Go. Change Kukulkan.
I'm gonna move Phoenix. Yeah, get Phoenix. I got Phoenix. Go mid.
Serqet, I'm good.
That portal.
Yeah.
Group up and heal mid. Watch having.
Serqet ult.
We're gonna heal for a fuck ton. Is Kukulkan ult down? Yes or no?
Yes. 100%. Tornado down. Or Jing tornado.
That's a tornado. Alright, we should go in here. Yeah, here we go.
Taking it. I'm gonna go on weekend and try to get him.
Even Alma, it doesn't matter. Even Alma.
Alright.
So get jump. Get Phoenix.
Yeah.
So get like halfway. Talk to us, She's dead. Oh, that's right.
She's dead.
See ya! Can you do something? I'm really stuck. Yeah. Meshing out for now.
I bowled an 8.
I saw him! He's dead. Get me in. Let's get a fire wave.
Fire wave and right.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna push this. Wait for my ulti. We have all our ultis very soon. Yeah. My ult's in 30.
My ult's up.
Beautiful performance from Eager there. The comms weren't the best, and Zapman was even like, come on, talk some more for me. I want to know what's going on here. But it all worked out great for them.
And once again, just a heavy investment onto Divios, just tanking up that front line. You heard it himself. He's healing for
a lot.
A
ton. Now they're diving the back. No escape on 3. No one's going for a ride with a Roar though, but the Titan is going to fall down soon. Stealth with a last-ditch ultimate to save the day. Not this time round. Eager still undefeated in Group B.
Dominating performance coming up from Eager once again. Weekend just got too far behind in that matchup, and then we saw him just try and set up these ganks, and he wasn't even focused on one person. He would look for TheBest. He would look for Zapman. He would try and find a Roar. He would try and gank Divios, but just these players were too tanky. Terra's Blessing had such a massive effect in that game, and it really didn't seem like ALG were ready to play around that Terra in solo.
On top of that, Eager did have that warm-up games against Luminosity that they wanted. They were ready for the stage. ALG's first game is now down. It was a defeat to Eager. F-Dot, tell us all about it.
Now, what's there to tell? Eager kind of led this one from the get-go. I think in match number 1, we saw them go back and forth with a fierce opponent of LG. A lot of veterans on that squad. Kind of the opposite when it comes to ALG, and I think there's going to be a lot of adjustment needed for match number 2.
Yeah, I think Eager were definitely on point, particularly when it comes to the positioning. They let ALG get this comfort pick setup of the Kukulkan into the Kumbhakarna, but if you notice, there was, I think, one engagement at the very start of that game where MLC was actually able to get an ult off into a team fight in a narrow alleyway. Other than that, pretty much every single engagement that Eager was setting up for themselves was forcing MLC to just blow off this Kukulkan ult into open space, and it's basically, am I going to hit this? Am I not going to hit this? And most of the time it was the latter, and that resulted in just Eager being able to have a dominating performance and really dominating the control of the map and everything else.
Yeah, I mean, you even brought into it, talking about that MLC stealth, the lack of accuracy, not to any discredit to him, it was really Eager positioning better. The caster said, hey man, MLC is going to get this Ratatouille and he's going to be able to blow players up. Well, you've got to hit that in order to do that, and Eager, they didn't even invest in any magical defense because they knew he wasn't going to hit it.
We saw the healing done from Eager, 10,000 healing yet again. It's sustained composition coming out of Eager. They banned out the Ra, but now they gave up the Terra in the second pick. Surprisingly, it was Allegiance that first picked the Jing way, but Venenu got soloed by Zapman later on, and that didn't really help their case because at the same time of getting soloed, it was a 4-man gank onto Cope on the right-hand side, so there was no possible chance to really sneak that goal Gold Fury.
Yeah, in match number 1, it was really about the jungle and the mid. Here, we got to see Zapman be Zapman. I think a lot of players at home were kind of thinking this might have gone to 5 kills here from Big Z, but not going to be the case. But definitely a big game for Zap.
Yeah, I really think that Zap did a great job with his positioning in this game because he was making the big plays that his team needed in order for securing the kills and getting his damage off. And at the same time, I think it was really clever of him to be using his ult in such a way that they basically forced ALG into, am I going to commit on this? Because the issue is, if they try and commit, Best has got the Janus. Best is going to be rotating in with his entire team, and that's just disastrous for ALG every single time.
A lot of fun stuff coming out with that composition. And actually, there was a specific fight towards the end that really, I think, exemplified the fantastic positioning. You brought it up right as the game was ending, specifically how Eager was lined up.
Yeah, I thought it was really well played by Eager in that they basically forced out the Kukulkan ult from MLC. And if you noticed, the only person that it connected with was Divios, and I think it hit him for maybe 300 damage, if that. Even. And then on top of that, Weekend, when he was able to go in, the person that he went in on was Aror. That's an Ares. He's going to get tickled as well. And it was just completely fell apart for ALG at the end there. And then you saw Eager went into securing the 2nd and 3rd Phoenixes. And it was just nothing that ALG could really do in response because they blew Serqet ult, they blew Kukulkan ult, and those are the 2 things that they really need to be getting off onto Eager's carries, but they just never were given the positioning or the chance to even get into that back line.
It seemed that was the biggest problem coming out of Allegiance. They were just blowing all these cooldowns on such tanky targets at the later stages of the game once they have those items. Definitely the wrong time to do it, and as a result, these hyper carries, especially Zapman playing the Ram, was able to take advantage, not having to worry about Weekend diving the backline. The purification was down as well, so Zapman just cleans up, no problem.
They look